Letter to the future. Ethan Parker was a man stuck in routine, living a life that felt more like an endless cycle than a meaningful journey. His days were a blur of mundane office work, evenings spent in his dimly lit apartment, and restless nights wondering if there was more to life. One cold December morning, everything changed. Ethan found a letter slipped beneath his apartment door. The envelope was simple, but what caught his attention was the handwriting. It looked exactly like his own. Curiosity tugged at him as he carefully opened it, revealing a note written with very precision. The letter read, "Ethan, on December 5, 2024, at 3:15 p.m., there will be a gas explosion at the corner of 9th and Elm. Avoid the area and, if possible, prevent others from being there. Lives depend on it. Yours, Ethan Parker." December 5, 2074. Ethan blinked, rereading the letter several times. His name, his handwriting, and a date 50 years into the future. It was impossible. Or was it? He dismissed it as a prank, though the thought gnawed at him throughout the day. The next morning, as he sipped his coffee, the words from the letter echoed in his mind. By noon, his curiosity had overpowered his skepticism. He decided to visit the corner of 9th and Elm. The bustling intersection was alive with activity, food vendors shouting their specials, people hurrying across the street, cars honking impatiently. Nothing seemed unusual, yet, as the clock approached 3:15 p.m., an unsettling feeling gripped Ethan. Seconds before the predicted time, he noticed a food truck parked suspiciously close to a construction site. Without thinking, he shouted, "Everyone, get back! Move away from the truck!" His voice cracked with urgency, and his frantic gestures startled the crowd. Some ignored him, but others began to step back. Then it happened. A deafening blast shook the ground as a gas line ruptured beneath the truck. Flames roared into the sky, and debris scattered across the street. Ethan shielded his face. Heart-pounding screams filled the air. He turned to see the faces of those who had moved away alive because of his warning. The letter had been right. That night, Ethan paced his apartment, the memory of the explosion replaying in his mind. He couldn't sleep. The thought of the letter and its uncanny accuracy haunted him. When another envelope appeared the next morning, his hands trembled as he picked it up. The new letter read, "Ethan, you've done well. You saved 14 lives yesterday." Next warning, December 12, 2024, at 10:45 a.m. A bridge collapsed on Interstate 43. Do what you can. Yours, Ethan Parker. December 12, 2074.
Ethan's life had taken a turn he could never have imagined. Each letter brought new instructions, more lives to save, and a growing burden of responsibility. But as he followed the warnings, he began to notice a pattern. The disasters he prevented seemed to unravel other parts of his life. People he knew began to forget him. His existence became increasingly isolated, as if the more he altered fate, the less he belonged to the world. Driven by desperation, Ethan sought answers. Who was sending the letters? Why was he chosen? And what would happen if he refused to act? The trail of questions led him to the realization that every change came with a cost, and the final letter might demand a price he wasn't ready to pay. Would Ethan risk losing himself to save the future, or would he find a way to escape the cycle of warnings and sacrifice? The truth waited, just as the next letter always did.